Be me, sitting in computer chair. Having bants with friends on sofa. Everything goes monochrome. Suddenly fades to white. Two weird flashes happen, like a reverse strobe. Now just floating in the white. Think I'm dreaming. Decide to try to manifest things. Can't think of anything. WTF, can't think of anything? Realize I don't know what anything is. Don't know my name. Don't know anything, no memory at all. Just me and the whiteness. Quite confused, can't work out why this is. Time passes, feels like a few hours. Getting really bored now. Just hanging out in whiteness. Eventually dark streaks start zipping by through the white. More and more of them. All coming from same direction. As time goes by it blends from dark streaks in whiteness to white streaks in blackness. White streaks get fewer and fewer. Eventually break out from an enormous cloud made of points of light, looks a bit like a galaxy from a space photo. Continue flying at extreme speed away from the cloud. Cloud. Extends further than I can see, but seems to form an enormous torus shape. At most I can see less than a quarter of it. Somehow know these points of light are universes. Suddenly my attention is drawn away from gawping at the universes to a doorway made of light. Pass through doorway. Be in a room, glittering and shimmering bright black. Walls and floors defined by rainbow-like spectra of light, almost like they're made of crystal with chamfered edges. Slowly adjusting, becoming more aware of surroundings, look around a bit. Room seems to be curved toroidal. Notice a small group of others. Immediately know they're old friends. Feels like going into a crowded pub and seeing your mates in the corner. Start moving toward them. They're just amorphous blobs, but somehow this isn't weird. They're huddled round something, very focused on it, don't notice me. I start to contact them telepathically to say hello lads. They immediately spin round to face me, startled. They all start freaking out. What are you doing here? No, too soon. You're not supposed to be here yet. Sudden white flash again. Eyes start focusing on the carpet. Take first breath, hurts like fuck. Hear a voice, he's breathing. He's back. Rise to my knees. Ice cold, soaking wet, trousers soaked in piss, in lots of pain. Wipe what I think is sweat from brow, it's blood. Notice ambulance appear outside window. Friend who was on phone to emergency services scurries off to let paramedics in. I have no idea what happened. It's then explained to me that I nosedived off the chair, hit my head on my dumbbells, was limp, not breathing and had no pulse. I needed 5 stitches Hess in my head, I hit the ground so hard I broke a collarbone, and ultimately got a triple bypass. Heart attacks are so sudden there's no floating around the room deciding whether or not to go to the light crap, it's just off like a light switch. Being in the white in the room was awesome though, super comfy, relaxing. Joyous sheer nirvana. I can't wait to go back. I have a story, and it's one that makes me think a lot of skinwalker encounters are bullshit, but not for the exact reason you might think. I do think skinwalkers are real, but what they are is much different than some Native American warlocks. I'll greentext my encounter and then get into some finer details. Be me, 20. Year is 2009. On a camping trip in Ireland because I'm an outdoorsy type and the Emerald Isle is gorgeous. Everything's mostly normal, I go to bed around 10 p.m. Have a dream that night. I'm standing in a grotto, naked. I can feel horns slowly protruding from my skull through my forehead. Goat horns. It's not painful, really feels kind of like a building tightness. A towering satyr-like figure walks out of the trees surrounding the grotto. When I say walks out of the trees, I don't mean as in he emerged from between them, it was like he stepped right out of one of the trees. I immediately feel a sense of dread in his presence, like a kid sitting in the principal's office waiting for the principal to come back. He huffs at me, kind of like a horse. Somehow I understand his message. Transfers this knowledge to me, all at once, that his children are or were the changelings of old folklore. Tells me that they've become corrupted and that I should leave the place I'm camping at because his bastard children are around. His bastard children eat human flesh. Wake up in a daze, usually my dreams are very foggy, this one was, and still is, crystal clear in my memory. It's the very early morning, 4 a.m. or so. Sweating even though it's quite chilly out. Light up the campfire again, hear rustling from the forest around me. I shine my flashlight between the trees and bushes, and I don't see anything. I hear a young, feminine voice call out to me from the woods. Who are you? Why are you here? I think it's just someone who lived near and I had accidentally camped on his land, or some kind of ranger. Oh, I am. Immediately shut myself up because I remembered something I had learned on, I think, X recently at the time. What was that? Go on. Girl shouts back. Notice her voice is slightly different, she had a faint Irish accent when she first called out, now her voice had a southern twang. I'm just camping here, I thought no one lived on this land. What's your name? She shouted back, angry and with an entirely different voice, she sounded like my mom. What? I shut up and put out my campfire, grabbing my shit and my flashlight. Briskly walk off the site I was camping at, taking the same trail I followed the night before to get there. It's much longer than it was before. Feels like I've been walking for a few hours, but the sky hasn't changed at all. I'm getting goosebumps at this point, but I keep pushing on. I hear a female voice again, asking me what's my name. Sounds like it's right behind me. Spin around on my heel. Insanely tall figure standing behind me, so tall that I was about knee height with it. In the blink of an eye it suddenly becomes a deer. Stares at me for a second. Hisses at me like a snake and bares wolf-like teeth before bounding off into the woods. Frozen for a second in complete shock. Blink again, suddenly it's much brighter out, and when I turn around I'm just a few feet from my car. I had a few minor, but related, encounters afterwards. I had to move to a big city after getting back to the States for my job, and every time I leave the city to go back to the small town I grew up in to meet with family, I have weird as fuck encounters with wildlife. Much like the deer with wolf teeth. An example that stands out in my memory was pulling over by the side of the road to check some text messages from my husband when I noticed there was a fawn standing partially behind a tree a short distance from my car. I stopped and stared at it for a second, and it walked out from behind the tree fully. Its hind legs looked like those of a dog's, and it had a possum-like tail. It made a bizarre chattering noise at me before it sprinted off much faster than I've seen any fawn run before. I think that skinwalkers are a misinterpretation of something wrong that happened to the Fae. The Fae are already a malevolent force and known to trick humans and cause misfortune, but based on the dream I had and the mutated animals and what was probably a shapeshifter that I encountered, I have the hypothesis that skinwalkers are the Fae warped and turned far more malevolent and evil. Once creatures that merely liked to prank people now turned into monsters that feast on people. How would you like me to speak? Like this be me. Bro sleeping on the couch. Trying to sleep. Feeling restless. Every time I start to drift off can't shake the feeling like I'm being watched or there was some other presence in the house. Eventually fall asleep. Wake up. Head off to the kitchen to get my Count Chocula on. Bro is still lying on the couch. Wide awake. Ask him if he wants a bowl. He passes. About to get the milk out from the fridge when he speaks up. Said he had a nightmare last night. Said he had a tough night sleeping, but when he finally did it was awful. I tell him to continue. In his dream he was outside some dark Gothic-looking cathedral. He started to make his way in, but it was pitch black. Somehow, the more steps he took the better able he was to see through the darkness. He couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. He started feeling like he should GTFO. Just as he was about to turn around, a figure appeared from down the pews. Pale. Platinum. Colored hair. Female frame. Massive erection. Her cock, not his. Bro tries to make a break for it. The cathedral doors seem so very far away. Bro can't seem to catch any speed. Bro can feel his anal virginity slipping through his fingers. The woman places her hands on Bro's shoulders. The woman places just a tip on his ass cheeks. Bro begs for mercy for his filthy soul. Bro receives none. Bro goes on to just how real everything seemed and how awful it all was. I pass Bro my bowl of cereal and tell him to chow down, he needs it. I excuse myself to the restroom. Detour to my room. Toss the roofies and the platinum blonde cosplay wig out the window. Got some ox spooks to share with you anons. Be me, 15-year-old vegan fag at the time. Learning how to forage with help from my dad. We're on a hike into the woods, I'm carrying our duffel bag which currently just has some spring onions in it. Talking with dad, when all of a sudden he hushes me. What? Tells me he smells something. I take a big long sniff myself, all I smell is onion and a weird smell like burning pine needle. TF. Definitely not any forest fires around. He starts walking off the trail and I follow him. Why are we off the trail, Dad? I heard from a friend that if you smell that smell there's wild saffron around. Okay, Pa. We absolutely don't live anywhere near saffron grows and I don't buy Dad's bullshit. He stops and starts looking around, and I do too. Find this weird looking plant. Looks like a solid green tennis ball on a stalk. Poke it. Unfurls and it takes me a second to realize what was the inside of the flower. It fucking blinks at me. MFW, it's a fucking human eyeball. Completely gripped by some supernatural terror. Scream, Dad shoots around, sees it too and is petrified. Before I realize what's happening he grabs my wrist and we sprint home delirious. Memory cuts out sometime around when we started running away. Next memory is just of us sitting on the porch together. Dad remembers it too. Still WTF over it to this day. Be me. Last Wednesday night, like 2 a.m. Getting back to my dorm after a long night with the boys. Try to sleep, kinda fading in and out of consciousness, but not fully falling asleep. Suddenly get really weird feeling, like the room got really hot out of nowhere. Sit up. Immediately my head starts spinning, eyes go blurry, world almost seems like it's vibrating. Can't move at all. Facing away from it, but hear the door either unlock or open, definitely being fucked with. Hear movement below me. Straining extremely hard and can only move my eyes, but look down over the side of my bed, it's lofted as high as it will go. See movement but not specifically what is moving, one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. Not like a blur, but just the impression of something being down there and moving around. Suddenly feel an extreme, almost head-splitting pain slightly above and behind my left ear that moves from the skin inward into my head. My head moves up, then left and right, I have zero control over my own movements at this point, and the way my head is moving, it almost feels like how hydraulic machines move. Completely unnatural. Become very aware that there are a lot of people in the room, but I can't see them. There's this smell like black pepper and wet dog in the room, maybe burning plastic too. Everything was extremely hard to place, like my senses were very numb, could not feel my body at all, could barely see. Head turns again, this time about as far right as it can go to the wall behind me. Where the white wall should be, see a brownish panel with ton of symbols that look like pickerel, immediately know that I'm looking at star maps like the thought just popped into my head. Look at my hands. Absolutely not my hands. Can see roommate sleeping soundly on his bed on the other side of the dorm. Completely oblivious. Suddenly everything is fine. Light is coming through the blinds. Check my phone. 6:23 a.m. Is that in any way related to lucid dreaming? 'Cause I've always been able to lucid dream as long as I can remember. One night I had a particularly vivid one that felt prophetic. Be me. Be asleep. Oh hey, lol, I'm sleeping, time for my weekly lucid dream session. Decide to fly. Lean back and relax until I feel gravity release me. Sort of just float there with my feet a few inches off the ground, slowly falling backwards until I feel myself begin to drift upwards, as per my usual routine. Okay, time to go have fun. Shoot upward into the sky at an increasingly fast pace. Hit the cloud layer and stop for a minute to survey where I should go. See a gleaming light on the horizon. Okay, may as well go there. Go about Mach 20 and find myself over the city. The sun is setting and all the lights are coming on. City is centrally built around this massive steel and glass ziggurat type structure that itself could probably house several thousand people. Dive downwards. It to street level before sailing back up into the sky several times. It's pretty exhilarating. Stop and just relax a bit at several thousand feet to enjoy the scenery. Something blasts past me just barely missing me. Suddenly a flash of light, heat, and a roaring sound. Heat is so intense I can feel the skin on my face get tighter and start to crack and peel. WTF? I am in charge here? Shit ain't supposed to hurt. See a massive mushroom cloud rising from where the ziggurat used to be. The city has just been nuked. Basically watch in horror as the formerly bustling futuristic city is consumed in nuclear hellfire. Woke up feeling sad, like I just witnessed something tragic that was yet to happen. Don't really know how to describe it, shit didn't feel like a regular lucid dream. I kinda wonder if I didn't witness something yet to happen, or witness it really happening in another reality or something. I wonder if I didn't astral project on accident. Be me. Age 10. Was camping with my family. Semi-populated campground. Nothing rugged. Wake up one night. Have to pee. Pull some shorts on. Quietly unzip tent. Hop out. Look around for place to pee, The camp bathrooms are about a 3-minute walk away, and I can't wait that long. See a bush on the edge of the tree line that I can piss behind. Scurry over there. On my way back to my tent, see something out of the corner of my eye. There is a man standing at the opposite tree line, beckoning for me to come to him. He is wearing a parka, and it's currently summer. I was a kid, but I wasn't an idiot, so I bolt to my parents' tent. I get inside and wake them up. Dad gets up and grabs a heavy flashlight. I point to where I saw it. Nothing there. We are both on edge, as if I had seen someone. He could definitely pose a threat to us. Me and my dad stay up the rest of the night. My family left in the morning, even though we rented that spot out for another day. No idea who that guy was or if anything else happened around there. I'll go first. Be me. Browsing poll because I was immeasurably bored and decided to do a check-in on it. Someone linked a random YouTube stream called something like High School Girls Volleyball, insert date here, asks if it's connected to Pizzagate or some shit. The channel that was streaming seemed to be owned by some school, which according to Google was based in Minnesota or something. The rest of their videos looked like normal high school sports events practices, but this particular stream was weird. Camera looked to have been set in some sort of office, entire room looked dark, except for light coming through a door left ajar. From what I could tell, this wasn't a case of some superintendent forgetting to stop a stream. The stream started out like this. Video was so low quality and at such a weird angle, I couldn't tell what was on the other side of that door, just looked like a bunch of light. No sound at first, but I shit you not, I eventually started hearing laughter. From what sounded like a kid in the background. Sounded like they were right outside the room, weren't laughing for an apparent reason. Check time for state this school was based in 11 p.m. I was still trying to process all this when the light coming through the door was suddenly turned off. Ficticitamount.mp4. Still saved link to the stream in my notes, in case I was brave enough to watch it again later. 5 hours later. Decide to check back in with the stream. Stream had already ended. Recording from it is not at all what I saw on the stream yesterday. It was set in a completely different room, most likely gym, and it was actually a high school girls volleyball game. It was also much higher quality than that part of the stream I saw. Be me 2018. Start dating a girl, she's toxic though I know I wasn't perfect either. Going to a bunch of music festivals and tried LSD for the first time. Eventually get mega fucked, struggling with addiction and abuse. Took too much LSD at a festival and end up in purgatory for 100 years. Earl time only about 4 hours pass. I have no recollection, only snippets, and my memory doesn't match what others say. Decide to quit drugs for a while. Years pass and no longer dating toxic ex, decide to try LSD again. Feels similar to the megafuck trip, but now everyone I'm looking at has devilish horns, my environment changes, and it feels like I'm in hell. Okay, that's weird. Take another break and try it in a home setting. Same result. Seeing demons and whatnot. Eventually seek answers. Start dabbling in DMT. Meet an entity in one of my many trips there who I now know as Ishtar. Felt an overwhelming presence of comfort and warmth. She starts to show me things each trip. For example, the first trip I was brought to a large door which is likely the door to hell. She starts communicating to me in dreams as well. I can tell when it's her because I feel the same presence of warmth and comfort every time. Eventually quit doing DMT and my spiritual awakening starts. Crazy turn of life events and synchronicities later and fast forward to now, I'm in a new city and I'm starting to understand my life path. All thanks to the goddess, who has strangely been watching over me since the beginning. Pretty sure the drugs attracted some demons whom I'm still trying to battle, but I know I'm in good hands. Any other warriors here?